Welcome back to Problematic Women. Autism announcement. Those are Fox News' words, not mine, because this week the Trump administration dropped a bombshell report that Tylenol while pregnant can cause your baby to potentially have autism. And this has sparked so many memes from his presser on it, but also so many wild reactions from leftist women. We love to see it. No, we don't. And we're going to go review it today with you now. Also today, Isabel Brown and I went to the Charlie Kirk Memorial on Sunday in Glendale, Arizona. We're going to talk about all the speeches, all the people that were there, and just the messaging going forward for the conservative movement and just everything you need to know from that. And also, you may notice that we don't have Crystal here with us because our problematic woman is getting an interview with Sage Steele, our problematic woman of the week, and we're going to bring all of that to you today on Problematic Women. Welcome back. I'm Elise McHugh.
I'm Virginia Allen.
And I'm Isabel Brown.
Isabel, thanks for being here.
I know, every month it's like the highlight spotlight of my month. Truly, I love being back.
So much fun. Okay, so how has your show been going over at the Daily Wire?
Oh my gosh, it has been a whirlwind of activity. You know, we like almost didn't feel ready to launch, and there's a million things that go into launching a show. You guys know that. No one ever feels ready. And I tried really hard. Okay, let's just wait one more week because I just don't think we're ready yet. And for whatever reason, we ended up launching anyway. And I remember being so stressed about it. And we launched on Monday, and Charlie was killed on Wednesday. And so what a week to launch a show. Don't cry. I'm trying so hard not to get emotional about it anymore. But it was so powerful to have that venue to share joyful stories of Charlie with people, to give people hope in what felt like a completely demonic, dark situation. Mm-hmm. And right away, we were able to cover this insane revival of faith and conservatism and pride in your country again. And I just feel incredibly privileged that our show was able to do that for people. So it's been amazing.
Yeah. How can people find the show?
We are everywhere, all over my social media platforms, and you can watch on Daily Wire Plus if you're a subscriber there too.
Absolutely.
I know. I'm getting the notification every time that you have an episode. Isabel Brown is live, and I'm like, yes, I will be tuning in. So it's been great. And like, honestly, we would not have been able to tell that you were nervous for that first episode because it was like you've been doing it for years. Like
you literally
have been. It's so just a bigger platform, and it's been great to watch. But
it's huge.
It's also,
and we are so excited that we're going to have more conversation just about Charlie Kirk, about his legacy, about Erika Kirk later in the show. And specifically, we're really honored to be bringing you all a conversation that Crystal Bonham had with Sage Steele. If you don't know Sage, you are in for such a treat today to get to know her a little bit. She has really become, I feel like, a lightning rod in the past
she's been amazing.
5 years. So her story, she was an anchor on ESPN, just a brilliant news voice, and then was really canceled because she voiced some concerns about the COVID-19 vaccine. And the left was like, all right, you're out of here. And since then, her platform has blown up. And she has an amazing podcast where she talks about issues that are of concern to the American people, to American women as well. So we're really excited to bring you all that conversation here in a little bit. But in the meantime, let's get over to the White House.
Oh my gosh, Trump has been back on his trolling, and I think he knows the country needs it right now. We just really need a laugh. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but he unveiled the Presidential Walk of Fame. And if you're not watching on YouTube and Rumble, please join us here. We're going to play that video for you now, and after we'll describe it if you're listening on audio. But let's just roll the clip. Okay, all right. See Reagan,
all the presidents. It's like, oh, I like that they did them all black and white. I think it looks very.
I know it looks really interesting
with the gold frames. So Trump,
Obama, Trump, and who's that?
Not Joe Biden.
I appreciate they at least put Joe Biden on the plaque.
Yeah.
Switch the photo out at some point if they wanted to. But oh my gosh.
The infamous auto pen.
That's so good.
So funny. Like I knew that they did something like that before, but to have this actually up in the White House where not many people get access to the White House, so it's purely for the admin's enjoyment. And I think that's so funny.
Oh, it's not even just for the admin's enjoyment. If you're familiar at all with White House lore and history and how this all works, this is the colonnade that the president walks through every single day on his way from the residence to the Oval Office. There's like 8 million iconic photos of presidents throughout the last several administrations, all walking down with the beautiful columns next to them. It's one of my favorite spots in the White House, actually. And I was there a few weeks ago with some people that I know at the White House and doing a tour with some friends in from out of town. And so I heard it on good authority that this was coming, and they joked about it then. They said, yeah, haha, I wonder if they're going to put a picture of the auto pen instead of President Biden. And I laughed laughed thinking, what a funny joke. That's amazing. God, I love this president. He's just so funny.
It's so good. And he had some more good moments this week because, I mean, as we saw, there was a really big announcement on, what was it, Monday, where he announced that taking acetaminophen, aka Tylenol, while you're pregnant can cause your child to have autism.
I think it's an important clarification just to jump in as a scientist. It's not necessarily that it causes autism. And I think that's where a lot of the media response to this has been really confusing. It's that they're noticing a correlation between an increased risk of autism and taking heavy amounts of Tylenol while you are pregnant.
Okay,
so that's part of the problem of why people are freaking out about all of this. We had Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, the NIH director, on my show this week to talk a little bit about this and a bunch of other things. And honestly, what's insane is like this research has been out there for 10 years, 10 plus years.
Yeah.
Literally a month ago is when this Harvard Mount Sinai conglomerate study that the president referenced in his press conference came out. So that's been out for several weeks now, but because Trump said it, it's a crazy conspiracy.
Exactly.
Now.
My sister is one of those crunchy moms, and it's been kind of hard this week to give her flowers and be like, you know what, you were right about the crunchy thing for once. But I mean, she hasn't been wrong once with these revelations. So shout out Lauren. But there's so many funny clips from this presser. First off, I'm going to start off with my favorite quote of Trump this month, possibly of all time. I'm just going to play it.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. But with Tylenol, don't take it. Don't take it.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
It can only good happen. We need to make shirts of that. I'm on it. I'm going to work on that.
I see the aesthetic graphic now. And also another really funny thing that he said. It wasn't acetaminophen, actually. So here's that clip.
Effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol.
I love him so much.
It's so good. And you know what? I heard that Trump, like, he doesn't drink coffee. He's he doesn't drink alcohol. He's very healthy. I totally believe Trump doesn't know how to say this because he just feels like he doesn't need to use it.
The average person has no idea how to say drug names. This is part of my like ridiculous crusade against the pharmaceutical industry here from being a pre-med biomedical sciences student once upon a time. I had to take a pharmacology class once, and it was horrible. It was the hardest, worst class behind organic chemistry I ever took in college.
Wow.
And we had to come up with these insane, like, sing-songy rhymes to try to remember all of the generic drug names, because every one of them is, like, the most ridiculous, insane thing you've ever heard of. It's not a real word. They just have to mash a bunch of letters together to come up with a new word.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Every time they launch one of these drugs. So I don't blame him for that at all.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's moments like these that make Trump so
He's a
relatable
human.
to people.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah. And I love that it wasn't like he brushed it off. He like kind of asked the room, like, how do you say that?
How do we say that? It's better than true international pressure from Biden.
Yes, seriously.
Yes.
And then
Authentic.
just one last thing from this presser that had me cracking up. Like, he could be a stand-up comedian in another
100%.
life.
Oh,
but
truly.
100%.
just, I'm going to roll it.
I think I can say that there are certain groups of people that don't take vaccines and don't take any pills that have no autism. That have no autism. Does that tell you something? That's currently. Is that a correct statement, by the way?
There are some studies that suggest that, with the Amish, for example.
The Amish. Yeah, virtually. I heard none. Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. But you have certain groups, the Amish as an example.
Oh, Trump.
You heard it here first. I love how he goes, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but the Amish have no autism. Is that right? Is that right, guys? I don't care.
You know what? It gives
Trump
him
unhinged.
this human quality that's been so missing from the experts for so long. And I appreciate that about him, actually, is he's asking the question in real time. He's not pretending to know the answers to all of this stuff. He turns around and he asks the actual experts, is that actually right? Like, fact check me on this right now and tell me if it's not. My daughter's cracking up in the background at all of our great Trump clips here. But that was not at all a hallmark of the Biden administration during COVID. They said, do this or else. And now we know as of this week, they did it so far and so out of bounds that they called up not just Meta, which we already knew, but YouTube to censor anything related to COVID-19 that wasn't part and parcel with exactly what they were trying to push down your throat.
Yeah. The medical narrative has been so one-sided for so long. And so I think it's really refreshing to see like, okay, we're just having conversations about these things, but it's not new. Like you raised earlier in the show. These are conversations actually about Tylenol and pregnancy that have been going on for a very long time. Back in 2017, Tylenol, the company, the brand that carries acetaminophen, they posted on social media, we actually don't recommend using any of our products while pregnant. Thank you for taking the time to voice your concerns today. So, okay, so you have Tylenol themselves saying, hey, they're not saying don't take it. We're just saying, they're saying we don't recommend that you take it. All right, so they put out some warnings. And then Isabel, you actually shared on social media a great post of a study that Johns Hopkins had done where they released, this was back in 2019, and they put out this study. It says it's titled Taking Tylenol During Pregnancy Associated with Elevated Risk of Autism, ADHD.
That was 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Just where we're at.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Trump
yet-
said it, so
but
it's
Trump said
not
it.
okay now.
Honestly, the part that really bothers me about this, and I said this on our show this week, but I'm a mom. I have a 5-month-old. I get migraines, and every woman has aches and pains during pregnancy. And the first question that you ask your OB is, what am I allowed to take?
How can I
and
escape
what am
the
I not
pain?
allowed to take? Vitamins, food, tell me everything I need to cut out of my diet.
Yeah.
But if I have a horrible migraine and I can't get out of bed or whatever, what can I take? Tylenol is completely safe to take in pregnancy. Every single OB I saw throughout my entire pregnancy, of which there was a lot, we went to pretty big practices that rotated doctors, every one of them said, just take Tylenol, it's no big deal. Just take Tylenol, it's no big deal. I'm a scientist and I don't have the time to go sit there and read every single PubMed article or every peer-reviewed article in all of these scientific publications. I didn't know that Johns Hopkins study existed until this week when it was interesting to go look this stuff up. How am I supposed to know? I need to comb back through the archives of Twitter from 2017 in a reply to someone else's tweet from Tylenol to know that I shouldn't be taking this during pregnancy, that's what the manufacturer had to say. There's no official statement. There's no warning label on the pill bottle. It just says, consult with your doctor before taking, and your doctor tells you this is 100% safe. And I think this is opening up a whole different Pandora's box for people when it comes to what is safe and what is actually safe for medical use approved by the FDA. That's causing a lot of people to say, hang on a second, we should not require advanced medical degrees or a career working for the FDA or the NIH or the CDC to understand what is safe and what is not safe to take during pregnancy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, and I think science is one thing that, like many fields, but especially science, is constantly evolving and we're constantly learning more. And that's the goal of science, to say, okay, this is the information we have right now. So let's act on that. Let's make recommendations based on the information, the data we have right now. We're always getting more data. We're always getting more information. We're always doing more studies. So when people are like, trust the science, it's like, yeah, but science is constantly changing. And so over time, we learn more. And so it's like, okay, we're still figuring out what's going on with Tylenol. But if there's even a thread of evidence to suggest that this could cause an increased risk of autism, like you said, like as a mom, you would want to know.
I would want to know that.
I would want to know.
And I do want to reiterate to moms that I took Tylenol when I was pregnant. My daughter's
Yeah.
perfectly healthy. She's showing no signs of neurodevelopmental disorders or anything. She's way advanced for all of her developmental milestones. But if you are a mom who took Tylenol like me, don't feel bad about that right now. You didn't do anything wrong to your kids. Don't think that you ruined them in some capacity. But science does evolve and change all the time. Michael Knowles said this so well on his show this week that we used to push drugs like barbiturate drugs during pregnancy to fix problems that literally at different milestones of pregnancy, you could say, oh, that's going to cause that child's leg not to develop, or that's going to cause their brain not to develop. But we didn't know at the time, right? Those were things we found out later on through very intense research and studies. And this is why it is so important that the NIH in particular is funding the right studies and giving grants to the right people instead of what were some of the things that came out around the inauguration, like how to transition mice. Like what are we doing, honestly? This is why those studies really matter and where your tax dollars for this matter, because they go to the right people who are going to ask the right questions and help us advance these questions appropriately.
Well, who's really advancing this conversation is all the far leftist women on social media who, it's like, this is Trump derangement syndrome in a nutshell. But you have all of these women that watch this announcement from the president, and just because Trump said it, these pregnant ladies are now advertising the fact that they are just popping Tylenol like it's candy. So we have a few of these lovely ladies to watch. Let's go ahead and see what they're up to.
Nice.
Doing my civic duty as a pregnant woman and taking Tylenol because this administration is a joke.
Oh, her bump is so big. Don't do it.
I know.
Sticking it to Trump.
This is insane.
3 bottles.
Because you really need that much Tylenol.
Nice.
28 weeks pregnant. You know what I'm gonna take? Some Tylenol.
It's Tylenol extra strength. Don't do it. Oh
It'll work
no.
like a charm, and my baby won't have autism.
You can't just say things like you don't know that.
It's wild that people hate Trump that much that they essentially are saying, even if there's some risk of this affecting my child, I don't care, just to make a political point.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up this morning. Well, first of all, I saw all those videos this week, which were just horrifying. But I woke up this morning and opened X to figure out what we wanted to talk about on the show today. And I saw 3 or 4 different videos of nurses saying that there are now several women who are 25 plus weeks pregnant who are in the ICU on ventilators because they overdosed on Tylenol because of this TikTok challenge. This is like the new Tide Pod challenge or whatever. And what's really horrible about acetaminophen overdose is that you basically just ruin your liver almost immediately. And if you can't get the antidote fast enough, eventually you will die a very slow, agonizing, painful death. But it takes like weeks to die this way. And so you're just hooked up on a ventilator in the hospital until you die. But a lot of these people are having to have really tough conversations now of, do we try to deliver these babies early and try to save the baby's life if at all possible? There's extra complications in the NICU associated with all of that. These families are forever ruined because they thought it was trendy to prove Trump wrong by taking massive amounts of Tylenol, which I didn't know until this week is actually one of the more common over-the-counter drugs people use to try to end their life. I had no idea that was the more common side of doing this stuff.
Wow.
But this is scary because Trump derangement syndrome is not just, a viral headline or a viral X post or TikTok video. This is actually like taking people's lives now.
Absolutely. And we've been seeing videos like that too. And we were just talking about the show before we started. We saw videos like that too. And I'm willing to bet it wasn't the same video because it's just every other post about Tylenol is, I think, starting to be nurses being like, hey guys, don't do this. It's not worth it. It's also not even that funny. Something that I've seen going viral on Instagram and Facebook, where I'm friends with people who are a little bit more liberal, maybe their parents on Facebook. There's a purple graphic. I think Greg Price shared it to Twitter and it went viral saying like autism doesn't need to be cured. And people saying their testimonies about like, my son or daughter has autism or my brother does and he's perfectly happy, healthy, all this stuff. Great. He's high functioning. She's high functioning. But what about the people who have brothers, sisters, family members who are like nonverbal? Like it's really hard
debilitating autism,
to live like that and live with that and support family who are in that situation. So it's like these TikTok trends and these Instagram graphics, they're not doing anybody any help.
No, they're not. And actually, it's just, I cannot wrap my head around how it is mutually exclusive to say particularly difficult cases of autism is a tough thing for families to deal with. And we should be preventing that for people in the future.
Yeah.
But also, any person, regardless of your status of ability, is a human being.
And
It's
has
worthy of our
value.
respect and has value.
Exactly.
They're not mutually exclusive. And so this ridiculous, hollow virtue signaling about the whole thing, it reminds me of the black square that everybody is sharing this this particular graphic to their Instagram story. It means nothing. And we did an Instagram reel reacting to that the other day. Every single comment, like by the hundreds, is I have a sister with autism, my child has autism, whatever, people in my personal life, my friends, my family, and they will never use the bathroom by themselves for their whole life. They have to be zipped into a bed. They scream and they can't keep a job because they can't keep their emotions under check. Of course, we would want some sort of pathway out of this if we could give it to anybody, and that doesn't demean the value of my family member by saying that.
Absolutely not. Yeah. No, it's common sense. It's
one would
common
Common
sense.
sense.
Well, we saw Trump derangement syndrome in another avenue recently. We talked about it last week with Jimmy Kimmel making light of Charlie Kirk's assassination in order to make a joke about the president, because he is Exhibit A on Trump derangement syndrome. And now ABC has brought Jimmy Kimmel back on air. It's a business decision. They had the right to take him off as a business. They had the right to bring him back on. So here
My
we
baby
are.
does not like that.
She's like, absolutely not. Jimmy Kimmel should still be off the air. But, you know, I think in the wake of like, you have that going on one side, and then on the other side, we're watching as Turning Point. They're back on the road. They have their tour going on. Michael Knowles, he was just in Minnesota, correct? Yeah, in Minnesota speaking at a college event there. They have a bunch more tours. They were at
Virginia Tech,
your
my alma mater. Yeah,
Virginia
oh my
Tech.
gosh. This week, Megyn Kelly, it was amazing.
She did a great job.
And Glenn Youngkin, yeah, that was great.
Yeah, so I mean, it is just incredible to see in the wake of tragedy. You feel like the left is still sort of like a fish flopping on the shore, like just making mistakes. Like, we don't know what to do with this situation. And then you still have so many people that are feeling, I think, even more motivated and just ready to hit the ground running and to be that voice and to speak truth. And I've said it so many times, but it's this line in the sand moment of like, I have to choose. I have to decide. The issues, politics, faith, that I sort of pushed off. It was like, oh, it's not really that important. I'll decide later. People are realizing, no, I have to decide now. And I have to know where I stand on these issues. And I want to be involved, which is so exciting to see. Really
just seeing
huge.
the whole line outside of our big auditorium hall at Virginia Tech of people wanting to go to this event. I heard that there were students from JMU, UVA, Liberty University, like all across Virginia schools, which Virginia schools are very liberal, ranked very low on the free speech index, wanting to come and hear this, even if they're not super big fans, just getting exposed to these ideas for the first time maybe is so impactful. Seeing some of the questions that were asked were so great, and I cannot wait to see what the rest of this tour has in store. It's been such a tragedy that this tour was born out of, but I think there's more exposure than Charlie Kirk could have ever dreamed of coming from this, and it's really beautiful to see.
Oh, truly. Yeah. You know, before they rebranded the tour into having all of these guest hosts and everything, there was one stop that Charlie was scheduled to go to right after UVU before Michael Knowles reopened the new tour, and it was at my alma mater at Colorado State. And by some crazy twist of fate and grace of God, I hadn't seen Charlie since January, I think, at the March for Life. And we randomly got scheduled and booked to speak at a pro-life event together in California 3 weeks ago. And so about a week before he died, a week and a couple days before he died, I joined him in Fresno, California, and we were the only two speakers at this big multi-denominational faith-based pro-life event. And he seemed so grounded. Usually he was just like running at the speed of light and was constantly just thinking about 20 different things and barking orders on so-and-so because he had to remember to eat because he didn't eat that day. He was doing too many things, and we were always just running at the speed of light. But he was so slow and methodical and grounded and just very at peace with everything that he wanted to talk about. And in the green room, he waved me in to come hang out with him for a few hours. All he wanted to talk about was God, which was so amazing in retrospect. That wasn't hugely unusual, but usually we'd throw some politics or whatever in there, and only things that he wanted to talk about was God. So he was scheduled the following week after UVU to be at Colorado State University, which was one of his first major speaking events ever when I was the chapter president for Turning Point at CSU in 2018. And they called me up and said, hey, we think we still want to do something for this. Would you have any interest in coming? And I won't lie, it was a little nerve-wracking, particularly because the school opened up the outdoor football stadium for our venue on campus to hold a prayer vigil for him. And I was not ready to do an open-air speaking event. I don't think any of us are, really. We're going to be rattled about that for a while. But reluctantly, I said, you know, I think I need to go. I think I'm going to go. I would hate if somebody else did this at my alma mater. And I have all these amazing stories to tell about Charlie at CSU. I'll go. So I showed up, and had Charlie been on campus that day, there probably would have been 2,000 people standing around his table, which would have been an amazing spectacle. I mean, like the visual of that would have been crazy. 10,000 people from across Colorado, from Wyoming, from all over the West drove to be at my campus and to fill up half the football stadium, basically, and pray. And every time we mentioned God, they just leapt to their feet and they cheered and they wove their American flags all through the air, and everyone was wearing homemade I Am Charlie Kirk t-shirts. And I was just so moved and brought to tears by that. I knew that if this crowd was amazing, the memorial crowd was going to be something like I'd never seen. Lo and behold, a few days later, as you know,
Yes.
It was.
I mean, I didn't even get to go into the arena. We were outside interviewing the people who were waiting for hours, some even from 3 a.m. to go into the arena and the stadium and the arena, and just the energy out there. Everyone was so happy. We gave them a lot of opportunities in the questions to express their anger and their frustration, but everyone took the route of positivity and saying, this is what Charlie has taught me. He taught me to lead with God and lead with that light and pray for people. I even asked people, like, do you think that Tyler Robinson, the alleged assassin, deserves the death penalty? And everyone said, that's not for me to judge. Like, if he has like a come to Jesus moment and decides that he is so sorry for this, like, Charlie would be the first to welcome him with open arms. So seeing that energy has been so beautiful in the wake of such tragedy. Like, it really has filled my cup so much.
Well, and of course, Erika Kirk set the tone on that. I think we need to play that clip because
absolutely.
It is one that I think will like kind of live in infamy. I mean, just the fact that the wife of Charlie Kirk, in front of literally hundreds of thousands of people, stood on a stage and said, I forgive the man who killed my husband. This really changes everything.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so impactful.
My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. That young man. On the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
Just incredible. I mean, Isabel, you were there. You were in the first row.
Yeah.
What happened in the stadium at that moment?
I mean, you can see as the clip keeps going, and I know everybody's been reposting that, you can see there was not a dry eye in the house. Every single person was just immediately brought to tears, and we were all audibly gasping, saying, wow. Nobody expected a widow of 11 days at that point to ever say something like that. Even if this was a tragic accident of a situation of a drunk driver or something, no one would expect a widow to say that 11 days later. But for such a high profile, very violent public assassination, to see her empty herself of herself and say less of me, more of God. I can't hold on to this anger and resentment anymore. I have to do what Christ does. And then she follows up that statement by saying it's what Jesus did and it's what Charlie would have wanted us to do, is forgive this man. Wow. I mean, I still am having such a hard time wrapping my head around it, but it was the most perfect example of godly womanhood I've ever seen.
I think it makes us all think, okay, if I was Erika Kirk, could I do that? And of course, we all want to think, yeah, we could.
Sorry for our listeners. My 5-month-old is getting to her fussy stage.
I love it. But it's like, okay, only by your grace, Lord, could I ever. And Erika Kirk so clearly walks in the grace of the Lord.
Yeah.
And this was something that Crystal had the opportunity to talk to Sage Steele about, just who Erika is. They know one another. So we want to go ahead and toss to that conversation. We're just playing a portion of that conversation. The full conversation will be out probably on YouTube, also promoted by the Heritage Foundation. But let's go ahead and jump over to that conversation between Crystal Bonham and Sage Steele.
The Turning Point team is just incredible.
And they got to hire more people now.
They do.
Because of all the requests.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That has been so encouraging to see also. You know, they went from 900 college chapters to thousands and thousands of requests for them. Like, it's
Charlie's
fantastic.
dream of having it in every high school in America
will be fulfilled.
Yes.
It's all but done.
We'll see what happens in California and Minnesota. But for the states that we like, I'm kidding.
No.
We like everybody.
It is. I don't know what the highlight was for you, but you just mentioned something about your faith and not talking about it as publicly. And what really struck me about Vice President J.D. Vance's speech was he said essentially the same thing. Yeah. He was like, he's Catholic. He's like, I've talked about my faith, but I used to be shy. I wasn't very straightforward with it, didn't lead with it. But it was always there. He said, in the last 2 weeks, I've spoken more publicly about my faith than in my entire career.
That was a great line. Yes,
and I was like, that is fantastic, and we need more of that.
It's so true.
Right?
To not have fear of being judged for it. Listen, there's a lot of good that comes from not caring anymore, not caring what people think. I always tell people, my kids who are 19, 21, 23, young people, older people, especially us women and with social media, et cetera, like the biggest blessing, the biggest change in my life from cancellation, et cetera, has been that I no longer care what people think. And when you are okay being disliked, it opens up all kinds of crazy doors. And that includes, for me, faith. Now, I have a long way to go. Like all these people who can quote scripture, like it's just not how I grew up.
Yeah.
And I have different ways of practicing, but I'm trying to expand that now.
Yeah.
And the way that Erika certainly has done it. I mean,
Talk about leading by example.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I can't even fathom.
And I don't know. She's so brilliant, as you know, and I do think she feels it. She knows. She knows the impact she is having. With zero time right now to even grieve. The world is watching. She had to step right into the CEO role. But you talk about, problematic women. She is a problem.
She is now the problematic woman for the left.
Right.
And I love it.
When I had her on my show at AmFest last year, one of the things she talked about that, she got a lot of crap for, I had asked her the question about Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, and how he got blown up and criticized so much for talking about women. And, the best, the most noble role is that of a mother, and staying home and being there and being submissive to your spouse in the definition of the word that we all understand. It doesn't mean you sit there and go, okay, anyway.
Yeah. Well, she said it so great in her speech on Sunday.
She said
you
it again.
are not your husband's slave.
Correct.
You are his helper.
Yes, and that's what she. And when she and I sat down, and she said it to me so clearly, of I want to be there for Charlie. I want when he comes home, he can relax and have a meal and sit with me and sit with our children. I want to provide that from him. Like our family wins when I do that. Why is that so bad? And I think that for her to share it the way that she did in front of hundreds of millions of people, because I think there's so many women like us who have careers and are strong and we don't put up with anything. And I want to be that person for my husband.
It's not a this or that. It's a yes and.
We can say and. Perfectly said. You said it better than I did. And so now, how cool that young women get to hear it this way from Erika and from so many others. Because now, along with her, we have to keep doing this. We have to keep speaking up. Otherwise, I think we've been right on the edge. I said that at the election last November too. Like we were this close to disaster from which I don't know that we would have been able to come back. And now this is another version of that where
and not only do we have to hold our ground, we need to expand what we have.
We need to. And she spoke to men as well, right? We both have so much to work on. And I don't know, I'm up for the challenge.
I love it. So we were talking a little bit about this before we hit record, which is a few weeks ago. Honestly, the week Charlie was assassinated, that Monday, I was listening to Glenn Beck, and he was talking about this new polling that came out. And essentially, the long short of it is young men are trending more conservative. Young women trending more liberal. Not necessarily anything we didn't know, but what was striking was that neither group is necessarily loyal to one party or cause or another. And so these are people who, President Trump comes in and says, we're going to solve the housing crisis, especially for young people, right? Millennials, Gen Z, they're like, how are we going to do this? What is the American dream? That's a foreign concept to me. So they feel kind of hopeless in that sense. And so whether it's Trump or Mamdani, whoever comes in and says, I have a solution for housing and affordability and your gas, groceries, and your rent, those people will flock to that personality. But what struck me is, I think it was Tyler Boyer that posted this, something along the lines of, Charlie Kirk led the young men of America. He really, truly did, and even more so now after everything that's happened. Erika Kirk is now here to lead the young women, which I thought was so striking, and I was very encouraged by that because I think she's up to the task.
I do too.
And I think she can speak to both young men and young women. But we have this dichotomy, especially between young men and young women, where we probably need to do a little bit more work on the young women. And how can we pour into them? What are the issues that we need to be talking to young women about to help them understand the truth that is the left does not want you to succeed.
Right.
They just want control over you.
Well, I think Erika is an incredible spokesperson. Again, not anything she would have signed up for, certainly not in this way, but I know she believes in, her faith is obviously evident, and the journey to get there. The example of Erika, the example of Riley Gaines, who just turned 25 years old and having a baby as we speak.
Another lead by example kind of person.
Yes, who it would have been easier to stay silent. It would have been easier to just talk about the sports aspect of it. Now she's gone next level while celebrating marriage, while celebrating becoming a new mom and having a career. I think one of the problems is that there have not been nearly enough women saying that that's okay and that it is okay to want to be a wife and to want to be home. Look at who our examples have been. I don't even need to name them because I don't like to speak their names quite often. And on the other hand, with men, that those statistics don't really surprise me, especially considering how much men have been bashed over the last several years by the left and white men in particular, but all men. And Erika talked about it on Sunday as well in Phoenix, and wanting to remind men of their role and how important they are to lead our families. We have emasculated them in so many ways, and quite often it isn't just women who are doing that, but men were doing that as well. So it's about who is willing to step up. We need more men to continue to do that and to have those tough conversations with their sons. This is what you do. This is how you treat a woman. And don't just tell them, but are you living it? Are you showing that young man?
Give them a good example.
Yeah, you have to, because all this actually doesn't really add up or matter. And the same thing with our daughters, I have two daughters, they're 23 and 19, and then my son's in the middle.
Oh my gosh.
And the conversations that I've had with them, I just got married again for the second time. And it's been a journey. I never thought I would be a bride again at 52. I never thought I'd be divorced. And then I realized, and I'm not making it about me, it's just an example of I realized that it's not just what I'm telling my girls, it's what I'm showing them. And my daughters right now get to witness a man treating their mother with such love that I've never felt or experienced. And so it is such a gift to me, but it's a gift to them. And I know now their bar is here.
Oh yeah.
And my son is getting a beautiful example as well. So everybody wins when we don't just preach, but we practice. President Trump has done a great job. I think, look at J.D. Vance. Look at Vivek Ramaswamy. So many people in the administration. Look at Karoline Leavitt at 27, 28 years old.
Killing it. She is amazing.
So this administration, I think, has covered all the bases brilliantly. I'm excited for the future because of that, and I will never lose the hope in our women. But the examples that we've given them in the past, I'm not even going to mention all the politicians and the Kamala Harris and the Hillary Clintons. I just did, sorry. But the Kardashians on the other side, where we make it just about the physicality and sex and money and materialistic things. So there is a revival in so many different ways, and I'm excited to see, we get to say we're a part of history. Because we're not going to sit back and accept it anymore. And if we do, silence is compliance. That's what we used in 2020.
Oh my gosh.
It's 100%
That's the message right there.
No, we can no longer afford to do it. Shame on us.
Okay, wow. So just always a joy to hear from Sage Steele, just an absolutely brilliant woman, and to reflect on Charlie Kirk's legacy, and I think on Erika Kirk. And I personally just feel so encouraged, I think, as a woman in the conservative movement, we have leadership in a way that we've kind of never had before. And I feel like there's this, we've seen this with young men. There were so many young men that really united behind Charlie. And now I think we're going to see the exact same with so many young women.
Absolutely. I think it's really encouraging seeing Erika Kirk speak out, because I've seen so many young women inspired by her. And it's filled a void, like you said, for young women in the movement that is desperately needed. I noticed ever since Trump came into office. Even before that, the whole trad wife thing was really coming up, and it was fun for a bit, but then you kind of saw that it was just an aesthetic. And some people really do live that life, and it is beautiful, but some people did use it for clout and Instagram clicks and all that stuff. And it was just kind of like, is this really the best we have to offer conservative women? We see Trump and Charlie Kirk and all the great men that the young men have. So like, who do we have to show like a real good, wholesome example for us? And we have a lot of women, but Erika Kirk has been like the overarching uniting person in my view, and it's been really great to see her shine over the past 11 days through tragedy.
It is such a huge privilege to know and love Erika, and I think she's been kind of an anomaly for people over the past few years because she's been pretty private over the past few years, but it's not like she's been a secret, right? And I think what people are surprised to learn about her is she's not this quiet trad wife, just big sourdough in the kitchen thing. She was Miss Arizona USA. She's an entrepreneur. She was well before she ever even met Charlie. She has a huge heart for God and serves her community in that way, in such a powerful way. She is a mom, and she loves her babies more than I've ever seen a woman love their babies, and she's always been that way ever since they found out they were pregnant with their first baby. But I love I love seeing this evolution of her with watching her love of her family now transcend to be a love of Charlie's extended family, which was the movement, and that's who he spent so much of his time investing in. I think she is the perfect person to be leading Turning Point USA, and she's an amazing example for young moms in particular to know that you can actually have it all, and that's okay. That's good. You can be an entrepreneur. You can be the CEO of one of the most successful organizations on the planet, and you can go home and tuck your 2 beautiful children in at night and pray with them before they fall asleep. And I think that's such a beautiful image to be sharing with young women today.
It is. Well, on that note, for our question of the week, I want to ask you all if you have a message that you would want Erika to hear right now. If you had a word of encouragement, like what would you, if you could sit down with her for 5 minutes, what would you want to say to Erika Kirk right now? I just think it's a powerful time just to reflect on as we continue to just recognize that we are this powerful crossroads in history. But thank you guys so much for doing today. Isabel, thank you for being with us. As always, it's just such a privilege to have you on.
Thank you guys. And thanks for those listening for putting up with the sounds of my child in the background. This is working mom life. Erika will get this more than anybody, actually. There's always a baby screaming or something didn't get dropped off right or whatever.
It is real life and we love it.
Absolutely.
All the twists and turns. Well, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on brand new episodes of Problematic Women. Make sure you are following us on Instagram, and we will see you right back here next week.